Conceive, believe, achieve.
This is former UFC middleweight champion of the world, Michael Bisping.
Paddy the Baddy here. You're listening to Combat Sports UK.
And you're watching Combat Sports UK.
What's happening, fight fans? Welcome back to Combat Sports UK. I'm here with another interview, and I am here with ahead of we think it's the co-main event slot at BMF 6, 15th of July at the Barnsley Metrodome, and I'm here for the interim title challenger for the flyweight title, Danny Missin. Thank you very much for joining me today, Danny.
No, thank you, mate. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no problem. So, just under 2 weeks out from the interim title fight now. How are you feeling? How are you feeling heading in? How's your training been going?
Oh man, I've been training for a fight for about since about January. Obviously the first one fell through. My opponent had to pull out, and legit reason as well. You know what I mean? It's part of the game, innit? And then I had a couple of weeks off due to a bit of a back injury. Got back in, carried on, got matched up again, and then about a couple of weeks out at the fight, it got called off again. So I just started putting word out, you know, like I need a fight. I've been training for since my last fight, pretty much, you know, in December, and you know, the struggle's been trying to keep consistent with it, you know, and not just jump balls deep into a pie. But because I do like food, a lot of food. But yeah, just trying to stay consistent with it, and we've had a couple of dips. I think when you're geared to peak for a certain date twice. You know, the first time it's like, okay, yeah, I can carry on. The second time it's like, oh, why am I doing this to my body? You know, the training's always harder than the fight, but we're kind of coming back around now, a week out, getting me rounds in, doing 6-5s, wrestling out bigger boys still, you know, and got 10 rounds of striking, 6 rounds of wrestling in tonight. So yeah, I'm feeling good, feeling real good. Just starting to peak for the third time at the right time.
Yeah, I can imagine. Obviously, it's not difficult. It's not just difficult on your body, but difficult on your mind as well, because you've got yourself psyched up there. So few weeks out, I'm going to be fighting, and then you kind of had to reset and then think about a different opponent. Have you kind of had to change your style and the way you're preparing to change to different opponents?
Yeah, I never came from. I mean, I like to be aware of what my opponents can do, but I'm a firm believer in. I think game plans can get in your head a little bit. You've got to be. Sorry, I'm moving around just to make sure lights don't go off on the timer. I'm a firm believer of not getting stuck in a game plan. You've got to be wary of what your opponents can do. You've got to drill for that, but you can't get too stuck on what they're about. Otherwise, they end up leading the dance, and you're constantly waiting. Whereas I like to go out and make the fight my own fight. I like to make them, you know, work to my pace, move to my movements. I essentially want to lead the dance and be the one. I want to be active, and I want them reactive. You know, if I get stuck too much in a game plan, I think that I become reactive instead of active, and you can fall behind very quick. And, you know, I think judges drink a lot because there's a few questionable decisions, especially in recent years. So you don't want to lose a round. You don't want to lose a minute, really. So it's like, I'm aware of what he can do. I'm aware of where he shines. Unfortunately for him, where he shines, that's probably where I'm the nastiest. Not saying I can't get caught. You know, it's MMA is the game of 1,000 ways to die, in it, and I got 14 losses on my record. You know, I'm always the underdog. I know I can get caught. I know I've been there. I've done it. I never get too big for my boots, but I just think that, you know, if I'm on my game and he's on his game, he's going to have an hard time getting off that, you know, laying on your back throwing arm bars and triangles up and stuff like that. He's dangerous in the sense that like he's got quick transitions. So I've got to be aware of that. I've got to be positionally correct. But outside of that, there's nothing that changes too much in the sense of I train everything, I drill everything, I don't get carried away with one thing and make myself one-dimensional.
Yeah, definitely. I've looked into him a little bit. I found a few things. Obviously, I knew what his record was. I knew what he was renowned for. And no disrespect to Mandeep, but I think, do you think that you've had the distinct advantage in the level of fighter that you fought because you've been in there with some of the top UK talent?
Oh man, I've got UFC guys. If you go back as far as my amateur and my pro, I've got UFC guys. I've got Cage Warriors world champions. I've got Bellator veterans. You know, you name it. I've won, lost, and drawn to them. I've never had a bum on me record. I had one by accident, but I didn't know until the day I got stitched up. But I actually got offered. I think you know, experience is great if you know how to utilize experience. I did get offered another fighter. I don't want to mention no names, and he were 5-2. You know, and all respect to him. You know, any fighter who gets in there, you know, like I say, you can get clipped by anyone. But I think after his fourth, I'm looking on Tapology, and I always look at my opponents, and like 4 of his opponents had like we were into nearly triple digits in losses, you know, combined. And then obviously they offered me Mandy and him. And I said, I want the guy with the unblemished record. Now there's 2 ways of looking at it. I think the first way is, has he fought anybody like me? Has he fought the caliber of fighter I fought? And the answer's probably not. Probably not. Now, I can't say that because you can never judge another man's chin, you know, on another man's fist and, you know, all that kind of stuff. But, you know, how we don't know the level of depth in India and things like that. But you see it all the time in the UFC. You see guys that are like 19-0 going to the UFC and then they get found out in the first fight. You never see them again. And then you see guys who are like 8-4. And I mean, Anderson Silva didn't have the best record going into the UFC. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, he might be that guy. He might be the one. You know, he's a victim of circumstance in the level of, or what looks like the level of MMA in India. You know, he can only fight who's put in front of him. And, you know, you've got to get those fights under your belt to get the international fights. So, you know, is he ready? Who knows? He might be the next best thing. But as far as his record goes, the level in India and stuff like that, I don't want to speak too much on it because I haven't been involved in it, but it doesn't look the same. You know what I mean? He looks very slick. He looks good at what he does. So he might just be making his opponents look bad. I don't like to get too caught up in that. There's too many ways to look at it. And the way I kind of slice it is a guy in front of me is an obstacle towards what I want. You know, and I think that's just, I can't get caught up in there because I'll end up playing mind games with myself. You know, it's very well documented that, you know, I'm here, there, and everywhere with my brain and stuff, you know, like in my thoughts. So I try to keep things as simple and as black and white as possible and not get caught up in that, really. But yeah, it's good to sell a fight because there's so much speculation. He might be the guy, you know, and he is undefeated. And the guys he's beaten have all got either even or winning records. So it were a no-brainer for me, you know, take the bigger test. If it's for a title, don't give me somebody who's got 5 wins, you know, and his opponents have got 70-odd losses. So it's like, for me, it's like I'm a business as well. I've got to do what's right for the show.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, like you were saying there, there's a lot of variables in the unknown. So like this guy could be literally the next great grappler, the next the next Jacare Souza or Damian Maia. So we don't know that, but I think it'll be a fantastic. Is that what you kind of expecting? Are you expecting like a grappler's delight, or how are you seeing it playing out?
I think he's going to be well versed in MMA. I mean, the guy, for me, I'm a small to mid-sized flyweight. He's a small flyweight, big strawweight. You know what I mean? He has fought at both. I could probably cut to 54 at the most, so I don't want to look too much into the size difference and all this kind of stuff. But he's fast. There's something that I've always struggled with is speed. Yeah. I'm a strong, nasty flyweight. You know, I like to be gritty, grindy. I like to make you bleed, elbow you, you know, all that nasty, nasty stuff. You know, I don't switch from side control to mount. I drive my shoulder into your neck, drive my groin guard into your diaphragm, and you know, I like to be nasty like that. Whereas he seems very light on his feet and slick, and he likes to throw looping shots, but he throws them as fast as most people throw jab cross. Yeah. So, you know, I've got to be wary from top to bottom. I'm always going to be wary from top to bottom. Like, I've been in this game way too long to know that you can't underestimate anybody. It's like every dog has the day. I mean, Reece Street once won by armbar. So, you know, it's like, you know, props to him. The guy's got hands and stuff. But when Reece Street wins by armbar, you know, and MMA is like literally every dog can have the day. So I just got to stay on a level, keep my feet on the ground. Stay balanced and just expect everything. I try and prepare for people as if they're as good as I am. You know, I like to think I'm very well-rounded. You know, I've got K1 titles, I've got MMA titles. I've only, in about 500 grappling bouts, I've lost about a handful. You know, so it's like I am well-rounded in everything. And I like to really dissect technique and or how would I defend what I do? And the more I know, the more I can defend, if you know what I mean. So it's like, that's the way I go into it. It's not me versus him, it's me versus me. And if he knows more than me, then he'll catch me. But if he don't, I'm going to be ready.
Yeah, I think it'll be a really intriguing fight. I'm really looking forward to it. When I saw that it was announced, obviously after seeing your FCC bout fall through a couple of times, I was glad that you'd actually got a bout and that I was going to get to see it. Just going on to the kind of form that you've been on recently. You've been on a 3-fight win streak and it's been fantastic. What do you kind of attribute this form to, that you've kind of gone into this purple patch?
It can be a combination of things. I always had the skill. I mean, I remember going up and training a couple of years ago after my coach passed away. I went up to Hammer and, you know, Sean were welcoming. He actually reached out to me. And I was sparring with Connor. And after that round, he goes, "How are you not a world champion?" And I think it kind of hit me then a little bit, you know. I was just like, I don't know. I just don't get it right in fights, mate. And I knew that my skill, my knowledge, and everything wasn't the problem there. It was something mental. And I think the echoes of my coach's voice, you know, he always said that I was going to be something and do something. Now, I didn't know that, like, I mean, I was talking to Johnny Yanchuk not so long back. You know, I kind of got friends with him through the FCC thing. And he just said to me, he said, Danny, I'm a massive MMA fan. I've seen it all, you know, but I'd never seen anybody doing what you're doing now after all that. And I said, me and my coach would always make history, but I didn't know it was going to be this history, you know. And, you know, I'll take it. I think that motivated me a lot because it makes you realize, you know, when my coach passed, I always wanted to live out like he was like a dad to me, you know, and like, I know a lot of people say that about the coaches, but he taught me how to be a man. He punished me when I needed it, and he praised me when I deserved it. But regardless of that, he always led me. He always taught me, you know, whether I was right or wrong. And I felt this urge, this thing within to get it right and prove him right, you know. And I got my kids that look up at me. And I'd gone home so many times, and my eldest were like, "Dad, why do you keep doing it? You keep losing." And I said, because if you give up, you'll never know. And now I'm living proof to my kids, and how many dads get to do this? You know what I mean? I get to show them that shit's hard, but if you love something and you carry on going, you will reap the benefits. People say you get back what you put in, and it's true, but it's not always immediately. You know, I'm 35 and I'm at the tail end of my career, but I've just taken out an undefeated streak of a hot prospect. I've just taken out a renowned kickboxer turned MMA fighter who's put on a lot of the best striking clinics in UK MMA in early days. I've just taken out a boxer with 28 knockouts and a black belt in BJJ. You know what I mean? It's like everything falls into line, and I ain't got much to give my kids, but if I can show them, it's like a chain. Like my coach believed in me and always said that I was going to be something. And I believe in my kids, and I always say they're going to be something. And I see them get frustrated when they try stuff and they just, I don't want to do this no more. And I can say now, like, and they say to me, but you never gave up, Dad. You know what I mean? And I just think I'm filled with so much love right now and emotion. And I always have the skill. It's just my time now.
Yeah, exactly. I think, like you said, that's a really great way to look at it. And I think 9/10 of it is mental. And that's how I always see it. I think I heard someone saying, I don't know whether it was my old coach up in York. They always said 9/10 of it is mental, and then the other 10%, you just got to get punched in the face. It's like that's the easy part. So yeah, no, I 100% see where you're coming from there, and I think that's a great way to look at it and a great example to set. And it definitely looks like you're hitting that purple patch now, and it looks like you could be going for some time, and maybe get a few more titles in a few more organizations.
Hey, I'll never say never. You know, I could have said never 10 losses ago, 12 losses ago. I could have packed it in. Most people would have done. I know people who packed it in after 2 losses, after being undefeated, after, for 10. And that's just not me. If I'm going to commit my body and my mind to something, I'm going to see it out to the very end. I'm stubborn like that. And nothing in life's ever fucking handed to you. And it's like, what you're going to do, you're just going to chase the easy thing all the time. Nah, it's not financially rewarding, but there's nothing, when you have that warrior's spirit and you're not just a fighter, but you're a martial artist as well, there's nothing more rewarding than just sticking it out and seeing where it leads. You know, the smallest percentage of people in the world become UFC world champions. But how many people have got a story like mine? You know, like, it's going to make a good story when I'm on my deathbed. It's going to have people in there. You know, I'd like to think it's quite a compelling story, and it'll have people in tears, it'll have people in laughter, but, you know, at the end of the day, when I'm laid there taking my last breath, my record ain't going to matter. But I get to entertain fans. I get to fight for something that's inside me. I get to lead by example for my kids, you know, and I get to live out my coach's legacy for as long as I'm about. There's something beautiful to it.
Yeah, definitely. And it just seems that at the end, like you said, when all's said and done, no one's going to remember little bits of losses here and there, but they are going to remember a legacy and an ethos that you've left behind. So no, I 100% agree with you there, and I think, like I said, hearing you talk like that is it's kind of inspiring to, like, myself as a martial artist. I can kind of take inspiration about that. But I think even people who don't watch the sport of mixed martial arts and don't really not really interested in it, they can even take little bits away from that. They can say, because it's all meaningful in all aspects of life. That sort of don't give up, keep going, and nothing ever came easy. Nothing ever has come easy. And if it did come easy, it's not worth having, I don't think.
No, no, not at all, not at all. I tell my kids that when I grade them and stuff like that. You know, it's just like you're not all going to be fighters, but you're all going to be fighting for something. You know, you're going to be fighting for what you're going to do, get a job and just stay at that job forever. No, you're not. You're going to be fighting for promotion. And there's going to be people that are wanting to knock you off, but you've got to stay, you know, committed to the cause. You're going to be fighting for that degree because you pay all that money. And if you don't get it, you don't get it. You know what I mean? You're going to be, sometimes, if you have a life like me, you're going to be fighting for a place to live. You're going to be fighting to eat. You know, life's a fight. Life is a fight. And if you can find beauty in the fight, then it's worth it. You know, unfortunately, some people, even people close to me, could never find beauty in that struggle. And I think we all have moments where we kind of go, this ain't fucking worth it. I want to give up. You know, and there's a lot of cliches out there. You know, when you give up, you might have been an inch away from making it. You don't know how close you were and stuff like that. But you know, time rolls on, circumstances change, and you've just got to kind of roll with it and enjoy the journey. It's going to be good, but it ain't going to be good forever. It's going to be bad, and it ain't going to be bad forever. And you just got to kind of like take those little victories when you can and learn those lessons when you can. There's always something to be taken. So for me, 1 minute, I told you they'd go off. For me, it's just about being true to me. You know, I don't know how long I got left. I don't, you know what I mean? Injuries happen. I'm older now, but I can guarantee that if I can still give 100% of myself and put on a show for fans, you'll see me in the middle of that cage throwing down.
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm absolutely buzzing for it for the 15th. I can't wait to see you fight. Just before we kind of round this up, I just want to say, why should people tune in to watch you fight on the 15th?
Very simply, you know, I'm one of those fighters. Like, I hate selling tickets. Don't tell Steve O'Connor this, but I can hate him. Right? You know, if I could rip him up, I would. And you know, I've been known to take like 2-3 people with me, even to local shows. You know what I mean? Like my mum's usually one of them. But by the end of it, everybody knows my name. Win, lose or draw. You know, people they want photos because I give something of myself in that cage that when I win in spectacular fashion, and it's always it's drama. And when I lose, I'm fighting tooth and nail to try and still be in it and win. You know, I'm one of those fighters that win, lose, or draw. I'm never going to quit on myself. And if you like action, you like drama, you like a little bit of carnage and a furry little midget throwing bombs, then, you know, I'm your guy.
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm sure there'll be many people tuning in. I'll be there. Can't wait for it, Danny. Thank you very much for coming on today, mate. I've had a great time talking to you, and I've got a few other little bits and things that I'll probably message you about later. Just something that I'm doing on the side that I quite want to get you involved with. But no, it's been fantastic to talk to you. Thank you for taking the time out of your day and your evening to do this today.
Yeah, man, I apologise that the air couldn't be better, but I've just been thrown around by all bigger boys for an hour. So, you know, yeah, beggar scap choosing and all that. But cheers for having us on. And yeah, I love talking to you, man.
Yeah, not a problem. We get it in, and like I said, I will. I'll message you later because, like I said, there's some stuff I want to talk to you about.
Okay, thank you very much.
Magic. Thank you very much.